Right, I'm here with Celia Pronto, who's the Marketing Director of STA Travel. Celia, I just wondered if you could give us some thoughts on some of the entries that you've seen today at the Drum Marketing Awards.
Well, we've definitely seen some really strong entries coming through, people who can clearly demonstrate competencies in some very clear areas. I think it's been quite an interesting mixture, some big brands doing some big things, but also some interesting smaller players who've had to really think hard about how they could really optimise and solve business challenges.
Well, one of the debates we had earlier on this morning, and you were quite vocal in, was how some clients are kind of really embracing social media platforms and really embedding it as part of their marketing culture, and others probably aren't quite embracing it to that degree yet. What are your thoughts on how clients are kind of getting used to these social media platforms?
I think it's fair to say that a lot of brands are struggling with social media. I think a lot of people are kind of saying we need to be in this space, but how do we be in this space and how is it relevant for us and how can we make it relevant? And I think the key thing for me in terms of looking at the difference between a good social media strategy and a bad social media strategy, or an inadequate one if you like, is really the extent to which you embed it in your business. I think if you see it as something separate, something that sits outside of your business, that is almost a separate channel and is just something you have to do simply to be seen to be doing the right thing, you're probably going about it the wrong way. Because it is about social and engagement with people, you've got to try and embed it in your business and find a way in which it actually touches every single aspect of your business, whether that's social media or customer services rather, whether that's looking at how you develop it to becoming part of your brand proposition. To actually make it relevant and actually make it come alive and resonate with people, you've got to embed it in your business.
How has STA, how have they embraced social media, and what are some of the things that you're doing to boost your kind of business?
Well, for us, we fundamentally had to completely re-engineer how we did our marketing and our business, and we've actually embedded social media firmly at the heart of our business. And what that basically means is not only do we look at social media as a live monitoring tool and live research, where, for example, we're getting live feedback from customers of what they think of our service and our products, and we're actually taking action against that. So a good example is we had a lady who'd actually posted on a blog that we booked her into a property in New York, 103rd Street. She didn't feel particularly safe. She was coming home one night, actually got harassed by some people who said some pretty nasty things to her, and actually we've delisted that property. We no longer sell it, and that was simply because we're listening to what people are saying about us. What we've also done is actually, from a marketing perspective, actually firmly looked at social media as the core to our strategy. So we've developed a program where we try and connect people online. So you may have somebody with a fantastic blog talking about their trip and what they've done, and you could have somebody posing a question on a forum saying, I'm thinking of going traveling, how do I get started? Now the reality is those two people will never find each other. And what we're doing is providing a service where we connect them. So we're not trying to say we know all the answers and we're trying to go into that space and answer everything. We're trying to say, actually, you can find the answers you're looking for here. So we're providing a very relevant, valid service. And then sitting around that, we've actually leveraged two particular aspects of our business. One is we've introduced a kind of expert program where we leverage the advice our consultants can provide to somebody, and people can pose questions and they can tell them the best time to go to Australia, what they should do in Thailand, and really share expertise with them. And then the other area we've done is we've actually developed an Explorer program where we invite everybody who has booked with us to become an STA Explorer. We don't pay them any money, but what they do get is a kind of starter pack. So an idiot's guide to, if you like, of social media. How do I create a Flickr account and upload a video, and how do I set up a blog? And what we're trying to do there is really encourage people to create content and share content and tag photos. That's actually driven our overall word of mouth up by 50%. And on the back of that, we're actually starting to develop relationships with people in a real way that drives proper brand advocacy. And the next step on from that is really going to be giving those explorers access to our business, so they'll really get to understand the nuts and bolts of our business and how it works, because that's how we drive true engagement.
So you're really using social media platforms to really develop brand ambassadors who then go out and ultimately help to market the business.
Absolutely, and also for things like product trials, so they get the opportunity to go out and actually experience our products. Again, we don't pay them for that, we give them the opportunity to get a discount off it, but this is kind of true customer engagement, and we're not paying somebody to go out and effectively monitor or bias their particular opinions on any particular product or service that they receive, but it gives us live insight and live feedback. And the key thing we always say to them is it's unbiased. They will post things that are negative, they'll post things that are positive, but the key thing for us is actually understanding the things that are negative and doing something about it.
How much more challenging is it to be a marketer today when you've obviously got all your kind of traditional channels, but you've also got all these new platforms that you need to kind of monitor and take care of? How much more challenging is it to be a marketer today than it was, say, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, before all these new channels came through?
I think there's probably two answers to that. I think on the one hand, it's probably easier from the perspective of measurement. We've got more measurement available today than we've probably ever had, and that makes it a lot easier for us to really gauge the effectiveness of what we're doing and the business impact it really has. And so that's fantastic. I think the challenging bit comes in with just keeping up to date with what the new developments are, and also assessing whether they aren't relevant to your business, because depending on who you are, what your brand is, and what industry you sit in, some things are going to be more or less relevant to you, and it's about really being able to cut through, well, what is relevant, what matters to me and my audience, and what doesn't.
The last 2 years have been very challenging for most sectors out there. Travel, obviously, being one. How have you used marketing to deal with the challenges the last 2 years as we've been going through the recession? And what do you feel have been STA's kind of real kind of marketing success stories?
I think the key thing for us has actually been about reassurance, particularly with, as you say, travel having gone through such a tough period, a lot of airlines going bust, a lot of organisations going under. The key thing that customers want to see is reassurance. Are you going to be there tomorrow? If I buy my trip from you, am I going to be okay tomorrow? And I think the key thing for us that we've got, I guess, is we're a global organisation. We have a presence in over 90 countries around the world. And I think from a customer's perspective, that's quite unusual for a travel business. And so it really gives them some reassurance that we've been around. We've been around for 30 years. That helps as well. So there's a real element of that. The fact we have a presence on the high street, so we're not just an online operator, means they can actually speak to somebody face to face. There are real people behind the business. So all of those aspects, I think, give us a really good foundation. The marketing piece has actually just been about saying to customers, we understand you're having a tough time, and actually we are going to consistently fight to deliver the best possible value we can for you, without it being about cheap, but actually about delivering value. So you're going to get on a reputable airline. We're not going to send you with somebody that actually isn't going to get you there safely. The tour companies we work with are world leading, best in breed, will get you there safely and take care of you. The insurance products we sell are best of breed, but it's about delivering those in a way that's very, very value conscious.
And now I'm just finally going to ask you to gaze into your crystal ball, if you have one, and project yourself forward, kind of say 10 years. How different do you think your marketing strategy will be in 10 years' time to what it is today? Obviously, bearing in mind how quickly the digital social media platforms are developing.
I actually think we are going to continue to see a lot of fundamental shifts in the way that brands engage and have to engage with customers. Probably the biggest one, I think, is around collaboration. And actually, whereas I think if you go back 5 or 10 years ago, marketers were under the opinion that our role was to talk to customers and inform them. I think more and more what we're seeing, and even through our Explorer program now, is actually if customers are engaged with you and they have a vague interest in your category or in your brand, they actually want to be part of the development of that. So I think we're going to see collaboration being far more the norm, whether that's what role that means for agencies and how they kind of play a role within that, I think will change. We're seeing crowdsourcing coming in, and at the moment it's very much focused still on the creative industry and obviously people participating in that, but actually will consumers become part of that? And we've seen some brands already opening up their advertising challenge to the consumers at large and getting some input from them. So I think collaboration is going to be a big thing for me. I think social media is going to be here, and it's here to stay. What will be the next Facebook or Twitter or whatever, I think those will always evolve and there'll always be new things, and some will win and some will lose. I think actually it's more about fundamentally what sits underneath them, which is collaboration and communication.